Hey everyone, Mr. here. This is a guide for Circuit de la Sarthe with the Nissan R92CP. And let's get this started by mentioning that we are on the racing soft tires and the brake balance is at -2 or 2 to the front. In the race, I move it up just a little bit to -3 or 3 to the front. But anyways, make this right turn flat out. And just as you hit the apex of this turn, that's where you want to start to brake. And you want to brake as much as you can for a short while, then slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in. And you need to be really careful to here because it can be really easy to get a track limit penalty. If 3 or more wheels end up going on the curb, be completely off of the brakes and throttle so you can increase the chances of getting away without a penalty. Then bring yourself towards the right, and just after this path on the right ends, that's where you want to start to brake, quick burst of braking, and do a little bit of throttle control as the R92CP is a little understeery. Then just after the blue area on the right starts, use a very quick burst of braking. You can even use the curves as they're still part of the track limit. Just don't go past them so you don't get a track limit penalty. And because this is La Sarthe without the chicane, we're just going to go ahead and go hyperspeed through all of this. And in the race, you want to brake at the 100 meter board because you have to take into account tire wear, fuel, and slipstream. But in time trial, you can brake just a little bit later, just before the curb on the right. Brake as much as you can, shift down to first gear for a bit more rotation, then go back up to second gear and get on the throttle as soon as you can. And in a moment we'll go into hyperspeed mode again, and you want to be a little careful through here. Brake just before you hit the apex of this right turn, and you want to be a little aggressive on the brakes, otherwise you will end up going off track. Let the car coast for a moment, nice and easy on the throttle. Bring yourself towards the left and brake before you reach the 50 meter board. So you want to brake a little bit earlier than usual compared to the other car classes. Go down to first gear for a bit more rotation, then back up to second gear so you can get on the throttle. For the Porsche curves, you want to brake just as the green area on the left starts. Use around half of your braking power so you can still be able to make a turn as you're slowing down. Try to take the first half of the Porsche curves flat out, then do lots of throttle control as this car is once again a bit understeery. You can briefly go down to third gear for a bit more rotation, but try to exit the curves on fourth gear. And for the final chicanes, you want to brake just before the curb on the right starts. So brake right around here, take advantage of the curves as they are still considered to be on track limits. Lots of braking and throttle control needed through here. Just trying to keep control of the car. Get the car pointing towards the start finish line as soon as you can. And get on the throttle. But that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. For the race, we are doing 6 laps at Circuit de la Sarthe with the Group 1 cars, or should I rather say with the Group C cars, because even though any Group 1 car is allowed, the Group C cars, more specifically the Nissan R92CP and the Mazda 787B, they're going to be the top cars for this race. So fuel's at ×2, so fuel is not an issue even with these thirsty Group C cars, but the tire wear is at ×9, so tire wear is going to be a pretty big issue. You're given the racing soft and medium tires. Both tires are required, so you are going to have to make a pit stop to switch over to the tires that you haven't used yet. So pretty much if you're starting in the very front, you can start on the racing soft tires. If you're starting closer to the middle or the back, you can start on the racing medium tires. Or you can be like Grove and I and try to be a little cheeky and start on the racing medium tires first. Theoretically, this can work, but if the people behind you are starting on the racing soft tires, they'll quickly catch up to you and you can potentially end up in some unwanted shenanigans, which you'll see in a bit. So Windfire, he is on the racing soft tires, so he's just going to go ahead and run away from us as Grove and I are on the racing medium tires. Slipstream is going to also be a massive thing here whenever you're within 3/4 of a second between yourself and the next car, your interception range, and you're going to quickly catch up to the car ahead of you, especially at the Mulsanne, since this is the no chicane version that we are racing on. So you can see that there's a big group of cars just catching up to me, and it's going to be a little scary because once again, Grove and I are on the racing medium tires, and the other two are most likely on the racing soft tires. I think both of them were actually on the racing soft tires. And just be careful when you're getting ready to brake at the end of the Mulsanne. You're on cold tires, and especially with the slipstream, you're going a bit faster, so please brake a little bit earlier, brake around the 100-meter board, because lots of shenanigans can happen. You can have a series of collisions, a chain reaction of collisions, and lots of shenanigans are going to end up happening, especially at that corner. And especially for there, if you're not careful enough, then you're going to end up punting a couple people, and they're not going to be happy campers. But anyways, in terms of strategy, most people are going to pit around halfway into the race. So lap 3, most people will be doing something like 3 soft, 3 medium, or 3 medium, 3 soft. Some people might be going for 4 laps on the racing soft tires, in which that's actually a little scary because with these Group C cars, the rear tires wear out pretty fast. So 4 laps on the racing soft tires, it can get pretty sketchy. So you're actually going to see me go for the 4 laps on the racing soft tire strategy, because I did start on the racing medium tires. I'm going to go in for an undercut, and I'm going to see if I can try to make 4 laps on the racing soft tires. It is possible to make it work, but you just need to be really careful on the throttle, especially as the rear tires wear out. And the pit stop is so long, you can see me just texting Grove about the shenanigans that's happening, because he's also in the pit stops. But anyways, so about 26 seconds later, we finally arrived to the pit stop. We're only going in for a tire change, switching on over to the tires that we haven't used yet. No need to refuel, and we're out. And the pit loss here at Circuit de la Sarthe is 28 seconds, so it is a pretty long pit stop, and especially just for a tire change. So it is going to take a while, and hopefully you're able to end up under some clean air so you don't have to deal with anyone holding you up. And actually, this part was actually pretty funny because we are going to be doing a little bit of bump drafting just to do a little bit of teamwork, try to see if we can catch up to 9th place. And we're all going to be so paranoid about this braking point coming up at the end of the Mulsanne that we're all just going to brake about 10 years early. So you see the Mazda braking early. The other Nissan actually got the braking point a bit better, but for me, I braked a bit early. We're all just pretty paranoid about it, which I think that was pretty funny. But anyways, let's go on over to places to overtake and the penalty serving zone, as I'm starting to struggle a little bit on the worn racing soft tires after 4 laps. The Dunlop curves that are coming up, it is possible to go for a move, but it's going to be pretty difficult, especially with the dirty air. So it's going to be a bit more situational in terms of you can go for a move or not. The Mulsanne, quite obviously, one of the easiest places to get the overtake done, especially with the slipstream. There is a penalty serving zone hanging out in the middle of the Mulsanne straight, so in between where the 2 chicanes would be, the penalty serving zone is right here. So if you have to serve a penalty here, you're going to lose about 200 billion years. So just try not to get a penalty, especially track limit penalty, because they can be extremely brutal. And on this straight that eventually leads up to the Indianapolis, it is possible to go for a move, as this is basically like a shorter Mulsanne. Just don't be a little too cheeky once you actually get to the Mulsanne, so you don't end up in the gravel. And then after Arnage, here is the second penalty serving zone. You do lose quite a bit of time if you have to serve a penalty. This is also another, or rather the last best place to get the overtake done. And the final penalty serving zone is hanging out just before the pit stop, so it'll be right around here. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this guide. This is about a 19-minute race, so this is a long daily race C, so brace yourselves. Thank you guys for supporting this video and this channel. Thank you to Playseat for supporting the channel as well. This is Mr. MCA. Wish you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.